The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
stationed atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye where the digital spies.
It's Tuesday, August 7th, Wednesday, August 8th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the Smoky Mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network and Deep Talk Radio, and we welcome you to tonight's show. Hey, if you're looking for our archives, we hold them for you for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you and more coming. It is rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings in high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. The first Tuesday of the month, we bring in one of the sweetest people in this industry, where Geraldine Orozco, owner of Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, comes in for the spiritual you. Each month, we break down topics from dealing with depression and anxiety to how to deal with extraterrestrial contact and everything in between. a contactee herself. Geraldine uses her experiences and knowledge to help people who are going through times they may not quite understand. Tonight, we look at contact. There are so many different ways people are experiencing off-world contact, it's kind of hard to fathom what is real and what's just imagination. Downloads to peaceful adventures to nightmarish attacks. It's a freaky topic that many have happen frequently. We'll also get to your questions as well. Make sure if you're in one of the chat rooms or on Twitter, put them in capital letters so I do not miss them. Then, at the bottom, or make that in hour number 3, Everett Themer will join us for an extended edition of The Encounter from the Spaced Out Radio newsroom. But first, we got 2 lovely hours with one of the most beautiful people that I have met in this industry, Geraldine Orozco. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Dave. Happy Tuesday. I am fantastic. How are you doing tonight?
You know what? I am doing good. I'm a little saddened, though. And the reason...
What's going on?
Well, I woke up this morning, and literally, I always sleep with my bedroom window open, and it never doesn't matter if it's summertime or 30 below zero in wintertime. I just love fresh air. And I get woken up, my nose starts going, and there's the smell of forest fire all around.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're kidding. Oh.
It is, there's a few fires burning around here, nothing too big, nothing too much to be worried about, but, I know you're down in California, a lot of our listeners are in California dealing with the same thing, and it's just like, oh God, do I really, really need this reminder?
Yeah, we're dealing with some major fires. Wow. Well, I hope you're safe. Is it close by to your home? Or
No.
Okay, good. Okay,
no,
well,
it's still about, I think the closest one is about 20 miles away. So that's still a good distance. But, there's just something really, really freaky about that smell. Real freaky about that smell. So it's not something that I recommend for anybody, that's for sure.
Yes. I mean, prayers to everyone that is dealing with forest fires this summer. It's hit us really hard. And gosh, I just send all my love and healing energy to anyone that needs support and help. And if there was something we can do, God, I really wish there was.
Tell me about it.
Let's hope that all of these end soon and safely so homes are not getting burned down.
I fully agree. It's just getting a little ridiculous that, these fires, whether they're in California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, wherever they are, they just seem to be getting bigger and meaner every year. And it's ridiculous. Here in British Columbia, forest fires, it's part of the summer season. We have a lot of trees up here. Our province is literally about 80% forest. So you expect it. But this is just getting out of hand.
Right. And then there's the question as to how they are originating, which we will not go into tonight. But it's a tricky subject. It's so unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Let's just hope all the wild animals and Sasquatch get out of the way. We don't need any.
Yeah.
We got to, we think of people, but we also got to think of the animals, too. So.
That's right. Yeah.
What's new in your world?
Oh, my goodness. So much going on. I'm going to be at Dimensions of Disclosure next weekend in Loveland, Colorado. So that's going to be exciting. And this weekend, I'm going to be doing a workshop with Alba Weinman. And we're going to be doing that here in San Francisco, doing a hypnosis regression, a collective hypnosis regression. So that should be very exciting and interesting. So a lot of exciting projects and exciting things. We also have a new studio that we're going to be opening here in the Bay Area to allow for drop-in meditation sessions. So just keeping it busy, Dave, keeping it busy.
Every time you are on, I always like to reintroduce you because we always have new listeners tuning in for the first time. And I would love it, Geraldine, and I realize it's old hat for you because I always start off with the same question, but I would love it for you to kind of take a couple of minutes and break down how you got into this field, because just a few years ago, you were really thrust into this entire genre.
Oh, majorly. So Yeah, I mean, previous to getting into all of this, I was an event planner. I had my own event planning business, and in 2013, I had an abduction, and we're going to be talking about contact tonight, different kinds of contact, not just alien contact, extraterrestrial, energetic, and angelic. We're going to be talking about different kinds of contact, but that's how I started into this field, and after that experience, that changed my life so tremendously, not only from a physical perspective of having the ability of seeing the multidimensional body, but heightening my psychic abilities to a level that, I was not prepared for, I got to tell you. And it took an adjustment, but it was a very quick adjustment for me. Major downloads, and through regression, seeing things that were explaining the universe beyond its limits, the physics, the structure of the universe. What is our connection, our human connection here on this planet? And so my mission has changed completely of my life, and it is here to share that information with everyone in hopes to bring light, to bring a little direction, and from my own personal experience, my truth, sharing it with you to see if it resonates, to see if it can assist you on your ascension, on your healing. So that's what I dedicate my life to doing now, and I teach meditation. I've been teaching meditation on the side for 10 years. I'm a pranic healer. I have shamanic energy training. I do quantum energy healings as well as qigong. So many different Eastern healing modalities, but combined with my psychic abilities, I've created kind of like my own healing practice. And that's what I do. And I do those sessions internationally. That's what I do now. So whatever I offer to the table is everything that I have learned and experienced through my own blood, sweat, and tears, per se, in regards to my ascension, my healing. And so, I offer nothing but genuine, authentic experience. And I know that everyone out there needs to learn how to connect with their mind, body, needs to heal the body. And the world and our ascension is pushing all of us in that direction, little by little. So to get this information out, to assist you in finding the tools you need, that's what I'm here to do.
For a lot of people who don't understand, Geraldine, the healing techniques that you have learned from the Eastern cultures, why in the West do we have such a problem in accepting that these ways may be the way to real essential healing?
Well, I got to tell you, we are fighting a system here. We are fighting a very structured system, Dave. And we can start from our own family structure. We can extend that out into our society, and then break it down to our environment and how the environment structures our beliefs. And one of the things that is very heavily monitored, structured, and curated is our health industry, our pharmaceutical industry, our nutritional, our understanding of what is right to eat, our nutritional guidance. All the food that is being provided for us as well. Unfortunately, we are battling systems where companies are in charge of the decisions and products that are being put in front of us. So, the information that we have access to here in mainstream is very, unfortunately, forcing us to externalize the connection to our body. Instead of connecting to ourselves, we are made to look for symptoms, something to help our symptoms instead of finding cures. And I think that that's a major issue that we're dealing with here, not only in our country, but worldwide. Worldwide, we're dealing with a systematic structure of how we deal with our health. And the health starts in the mind. And if you take a look at how everything around us is structured in a way where we are constantly distracted, pulled away, stressed out. We have a 9-to-5 job. We're in constant survival mode to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to get our kids into education, to get them into college, get them into jobs. This is like a rat race that all of us have been indoctrinated to get into. So as we're dealing with all of this, where in that educational system that we have been indoctrinated with is there time and space and focus on connecting with the self? unfortunately, we've gone through a lot of years of this separation, and I think now we're just finally coming back, and it's something that I wrote about on a post earlier today about how timelines are being shifted with this information universally. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but a few years back, I'm going to say about 10, 15, 20 years back, yoga came into the mainstream, and I think that was one of the first timeline shifts that we have experienced to kind of get us back into that mind-body connection. And now meditation is coming out, regression is becoming more popular. I mean, all of these taboo subjects that we were not having access to are just coming up now, surfacing. They're becoming more accessible. So, I mean, really, it's up to us to access that information and to find the solutions and new ways of healing, because let's just take a look at, for example, we can look at the cancer organization, that there's a lot of controversy on where that fundraising money is going, and, what are the solutions that are being brought? Where are the vaccinations and the solutions for a lot of this? It's very painful, and a lot of money goes into these industries, into the pharmaceutical industries, superficially managing these illnesses, and healing is a multidimensional thing. It's not just one thing. We have to utilize all possible tools. So, accessing the body and the mind and meditation and healing and all of these Eastern traditional healing techniques are more connected with a mind-body connection. And we're looking at science here. We're looking at the energetic body. Everybody has an electromagnetic field, and all of that has been studied. I mean, you can take a look at the research that the HeartMath Institute has done to take a look at how the heart has the largest electromagnetic field, and it has its own vibration. So there is a lot of studies have been done in other countries as well, from Russia to England to China, on these amazing results that they're getting from energy work, from working with the subtle energy bodies. So I think it's coming out, Dave. It's just a lot of resistance that we're dealing. We're dealing against the system, financial institution, a pharmaceutical industry, and a lot of different, unfortunately, the monopolizing of systems, of government, of the financial system. And, if you look even further, you will notice that 147 companies own and manage, all of the businesses in the world. And down those lines, you're going to trickle down to see a lot of pharmaceutical companies like Kaiser, like even medical pharmaceutical companies that are owning now our food industry, for example. Like Bayer just bought Monsanto. So, we really have to keep our eyes open. We have to take a look at what's happening and why we're not having access to this information. And when you do, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear what's happening.
How do regular people find out about this, though? Because the majority of the population is very practical. They are people who are hard to convince outside of their five senses. They're very mainstream. They don't understand the spiritual side or the aspect, maybe have a belief in God or other practicing religion, but they don't really buy the whole aspect of things like hypnosis or meditation. How do you get that message through to people who are narrow-minded about these topics?
Well, unfortunately, what I'm seeing here in our society, and I work with hundreds of people around the world, and something that I have been noticing over the past 10 years is that we're coming into an interesting change, a shift, where people are looking outside of the lines. I mean, if we're going to talk about practicality, living healthy lives is very practical, I think. Not only is it practical, but it's cost-effective. How to make these things accessible. I mean, I think it's starting to become accessible on its own, Dave. If you look at, for example, Kaiser has implemented a lot of meditation, pranic and qigong healing as part of their cancer rejuvenation programs. They've instilled a lot of therapy for, patients that are dealing with AIDS, for example. So, I mean, this is not something that's completely unheard of. I mean, this is something that's very out there. And a lot of the people that are dealing with pharmaceuticals and have to take like a medical cabinet of medications are feeling, even more ill. There's lots of documentaries and research on this, on how they are dealing with side effects and hormonal changes that are even complicating their healing even further. So I think we're coming into a time where we no longer have to feel like this is something out of the ordinary or obscure or, something of the occult of any kind. Because, even though this information may be hard to access, just simple laughter therapy, for example, or, that hospitals are engaging in. General hospitals all around the country have instilled a program that creates, called the Happiness Program, that is instilling, laughter therapy groups. And it's medically shown that joy and happiness and high vibration in a person helps their healing. And I've talked to a lot of doctors here at Stanford, for example, at the medical school, in a program about mindfulness and healing. And I got to tell you that the mindfulness industry is turning into a multi-million-dollar industry in our country and internationally. So I think that we're coming into a time where this is no longer something that's strange and out of the ordinary. The doctors are pushing it, just not as strongly as we want to push it. And I think that once we have the open-mindedness to kind of at least consider alternative healing modalities, even in changing your diet, everybody has the ability and the option to select vegetables and plant-based diet or something healthier, less greasy food, less, what is it called, packaged and heavily chemical food. I mean, all of these aspects have to do with our health, and they all take part in providing a healthy lifestyle. And I mean, it's on TV, it's everywhere. The market is shifting to provide and to, the demand for people that are looking for healthier lifestyles, from working out and exercising to finding mental activities that are helping us nourish our mind and centeredness and yoga. I mean, all of this is coming out, and our health industry, even McDonald's, even fast food chains have opted to look for, salads, healthier, more organic options. So I think the demand is out there. I think it's up to us to really connect with ourselves, check in, and see what we need, what our body needs. And that is something that we need to train ourselves to do,
I feel so guilty right now because literally I have a Twix bar on my desk with a can of Pepsi going. Really? You had to go there in order to make me feel bad as a host. I did work out today, though. I did work out.
Well, there you go. It'll cancel itself out. How's that? I mean, you know what, Dave? You know what's important is your vibration. If you are high vibration and just put some gold energy on top of what you're eating, focus on the intention of eating. Don't ever feel guilt. Guilt is actually a stronger, more toxic emotion than eating.
I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty about it whatsoever. You know what, though? I got to admit, my Mrs. SOR works at a spa that has a pool. And so my little guy has decided that he's going to get addicted to swimming. So literally he has been dragging my ass down to the pool every day for about 2 hours a day, where I got to throw him around the pool. And this has been going on for about 3.5 weeks now. And I cannot believe the change in me already.
Wow, that's fantastic. Look at that. He's looking out for you. You see that, Dave?
Well, yeah, I got to get him on skates, though. We were wrestling in the pool and he punched me right in the eye, and I had to discipline him, and I said, "Son, you don't do that in a pool." I said this is what hockey is for. This is why you're going to play hockey. I said, "Punch him all you want."
Well, there you go. At least he
Oh,
has
yes.
somewhere to go take it out on someone else.
Exactly. I don't want him to
That.
beat me up. I don't want him to beat me up because he's going to be a big kid. I can already tell he's going to be a big, big kid. But nonetheless, you know, when you talk about diet, when you talk about taking time for yourself, and I know I've asked you this a frequent question, but I mean, it still is very, very, you know, understandable that this question is relevant, and that is people don't have time, Geraldine. They don't have time. If I look at Mrs. SOR, you know, I mean, we work opposite schedules, and so, you know, she gets up in the morning, she goes to work till about 5:30, sometimes 6 o'clock if she's got to work late. I do this shift with the son during the day, and then, you know, we kind of make a trade in the evening. And the poor girl is so tired afterwards that there is just no time for her or people like her to have that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, even during the shower, she is almost falling asleep, to actually take to themselves to meditate. And that has to be almost tragic for the mind in itself, because the mind does need exercise.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I completely understand. I mean, we are living in a very, you know, it's a capitalistic society. Like, we have to go. We have to survive. We are in constant survival mode. But I really have to tell you that, I mean, we're coming in a time where we have to set our priorities straight, Dave. We got to look at the long-term results. I mean, what's going to happen if she keeps going and then crashes one day? You know, and out of our own ability to love ourselves, each one of us really, really, at least in our day off, has to find powerful resources to recharge, regenerate our mind and our body. And it doesn't have to be in, you know, 100% yoga or going out on a mountain to meditate. Even having that warm connection with your partner, a hug, you know, releasing oxytocin into the mind, allowing yourself to, you know, release tension, just little things that you can do to help each other regenerate the body and the mind is really important, you know. And so these kinds of healing modalities and things, tools that you can incorporate in your life don't have to be such a hassle, but your priorities have to be yourself. And it takes me back to understanding what self-love is. I mean, self-love is not a cheesy concept of, oh, I love myself and, you know, I'm pretty and I'm acceptable and I'm good. We're talking about a complete lifestyle change where we're no longer cycling on that rat race. Okay? Yes, we have to pay the bills. Yes, we have to make money. But why can't we choose to do it from a more mindful perspective, a more mindful, a more cautious way? That we take care of ourselves, and at least the times that she's eating or anyone is eating, not just her. That's just one example of millions of people in the world that are dealing with this kind of a stressful life, you know. And well, that's what we're here. We're here on the radio tonight to talk about what our priorities, how they need to change, and the way that the world is evolving right now. You know, we are constantly going through evolution. We all have the opportunity to provide ourselves with the tools we need. So I think that it's important to, whether we want to pay millions of dollars later when the pharmaceutical, you know, at the hospital with all these pharmaceuticals that we're going to have to ingest in order to get ourselves continuing on the rat race, or are we going to live a healthy lifestyle so that we don't have to get to that point? So we got to think bigger instead of smaller. You know, it's not just about survival. It's about your whole human race. And even more importantly, our children are learning and picking up the habits that we're instilling in them. So our children are picking up that stress, that anxiety, that disconnect. So we got to help them out too, providing them with an example of how to live more mindfully, more centered. And that is how we're going to shift and really change how things are. The demand, everything is supply and demand. If we keep being sick people that aren't focusing on ourselves, yeah, the pharmaceutical industry is going to keep monopolizing our health industry. And so that's got to be a choice that we want to make. And I think that goes into every aspect of our life, from politics to food to education to, health to spirituality. Every level, we got to really take some consciousness, and we got to take a step back, I think.
How do you take that step back when there is no time? This is a troublesome part for a lot of people. It's easy to say. It's another thing to do.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I used to run actually multiple businesses previously. And I started them on my own from my garage, and I saved every last penny that I had to make my business work, Dave. But I got to tell you that even in my busy schedule, even if I had to wake up at 6 in the morning, I did not leave my house without meditating, without grounding myself, without protecting my energy, without going through those steps. So it can be done. It's just a matter of time management and setting your priorities. And even when you're working, at least you come into the present moment and you're present with what you're doing. So if you can't take the time or wake up early to meditate, whatever you're doing, you come into the present and you do it with presence. Okay? And that is one of the most powerful ways to shift your life. If you don't have time to stop and you have to be going, then when you're going, do it with presence, with awareness, consciously doing everything that you're doing, whether you're dealing with customers, be there, be in your body, connect with your body, see how you're feeling, talk to your customer, next customer, be present, have genuine interactions with each other and with yourself. And when you're tired, when you need to recharge, even if you go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, you can learn techniques to ground and regenerate yourself, even if you're on the toilet or washing your hands. Trust me, Dave, there are so many different ways that we can help ourselves. We just have to reach out and find the tools that we need. And again, it comes from that place of wanting to heal, wanting to be better, wanting to evolve, and not neglecting ourselves, right? So then when we sit down to eat at lunchtime, you have, let's say, 10 minutes to gobble down something, okay? So you sit down and you visualize recharging your food with some powerful healing light with source energy, and that intention then comes into your body and heals your body and your mind. Okay, everything is intention. We have to understand that the subconscious mind is constantly creating our life. And if we want to be struggling and a slave of the system, we can do that. We can do that all day long for the rest of our lives. But if we want to take back and take care of ourselves and heal, then we got to do that. And we have to do that by setting intention in how every moment of our day is managed. Doesn't mean you're taking time off. All you're doing is being present in your body and aware of what you're feeling, and what's happening around you.
Can you define intention for a lot of people who may not understand that concept?
Intention is what is basically the direction of how your energy is, let's say, directed towards an activity, okay? So, for example, we set the intention to have a high vibration conversation here. So if I allow myself to be clear with that intention, raising my vibration, knowing that I am in a constant state of flow with whatever is occurring, I am in non-resistance with what's happening. My intention is to constantly be clear and have an open relationship with what's occurring here with us. So that allows me to keep my intention at the highest level, okay? So whatever you set your mind to experience, whatever you expect to experience from something, that's what you're going to get. So if your subconscious mind is thinking that, things are going to fail, things are going to go bad, that's really the subconscious intention that you are putting into an activity. And that's more than likely exactly what you're going to get. If not immediately, later, consequently, after you finish the activity or interacting with someone. So our intention is incredibly important, and it's what creates our reality, okay? So if it's like for example, they did the test of a sugar pill, right? they did a test on people that they were sick. Let's say they had allergies, and they gave them the sugar pills. And the intention of the sugar pill, and they know that that was for healing. So they take the pill, and all of a sudden they're better. So what's happening there? Their belief is that they're going to get better. And so that intention of that moment of wanting to heal, wanting to be better, helped transform that experience for them. So that's how our intention changes any kind of circumstance or experience that we're going through. Okay? And it has a lot to do with our belief.
Is intention connected to intuition in your mind?
Intention and intuition are two different things, but I guess what you can say is intention is what's coming from you, and intuition is kind of like your antenna to tapping into what's coming from outside and how you're going to process that information. So, I mean, intention is really what you are creating. You have full responsibility of your intention based on your beliefs, on your, whatever your basic thought programs are, and what you're going to be creating. So I think they're two different things, really. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people find if they put out the intention that intuitively speaking, they get some sort of response back one way or another, positive or negative.
Well, I'm not sure because, intuition is really, many different people have different ways of receiving information, for example. They have different ways of, they're intuitively different. Some people hear things, feel things, sense things, see things, know things, taste things. So there's different ways of receiving that information. And really, unless someone is training themselves to process information from an intuitive perspective, they're not going to be receiving the response that they expect. So, intention is like the, what is it called? The giving of information. You give information, whatever your intention is going to be. Now, whether you utilize your intuition or not, that's up to you. But that your intuition can be a tool in order to classify what you are receiving from that intention, right? So you can intuitively transform or classify what you're receiving from the intuition that you set out.
I guess that makes sense. And what about grounding and shielding yourself from negativity or everyday targets that you must tackle? Well,
grounding and protecting yourself is really important, and this is basically our basic energy hygiene. In order to interact with the world around us, being aware of your energetic space and how you're interacting with the world around you is so important, because the way that the multidimensional body works is that we are like sponges that are constantly absorbing everything around us, all the energies that are around us, and anything that we are perceiving from the world around us. We are introducing through receptors, whether that's our sensory system, the 5 senses that we have. And then that information is processed through the body, where it is classified based on our perception and past experience of that experience. So grounding and protecting is really important, because grounding allows us to connect with the physical plane that we are navigating on. So you cannot, for example, be successful at something if you don't know your playing field, right? If you're playing a game, you got to know the rules of the game. You got to know, which direction you need to be moving, and so on and so forth. And in that same way, in life, in this physical plane, we have to be connected to the physical plane in order to navigate, to be aware of the energy waves of the collective, and also of the people that we're interacting with on a daily basis, whether you're at work, whether you're within your relationship at home or with your family, dealing with your kids. Being grounded means that you're fully in your body, present, able to look at, I would say, the truth of any given circumstance. When we are not grounded, sometimes our perception can be skewed or coming from an imbalanced perspective. And being grounded and fully in the present moment allows us to have a more clear, neutral perspective of what's occurring. Now, protection, on the other hand, has to do with your energetic field and how we are protected in any particular, wherever you are. Protection is important 24 hours a day, not just from the people that are around you, but also from entities and other off-earth connections like entities, beings, energies, attachments that may want to connect and feed off your life force. So because we're multidimensional beings, the body communicates in many different ways with our surroundings. So, for example, if you are in a workspace and you have a toxic coworker that's with you all day, draining your energy, and if you don't know how to set proper boundaries, not just in communication, but also energetic, then you're going to end up completely drained at the end of the day. So this is health 101. Before we even start talking about getting sick or ending up with illnesses or exhausted, these are the basics of how to maintain ourselves healthy and balanced throughout our life. So grounding and protecting is definitely the basics of that.
When you are grounding or protecting yourself, should you do your environment as well?
I definitely suggest to do that. However, within the laws of the universe, and when we do, energy work, there's always laws that we need to respect that have to do with free will. So one thing that we cannot tamper with is the free will of others. And if we ground an entire room in which other people are in, then we are interfering in their own free will for their own experience. And oftentimes it might take them off balance or, affect them in any which way, depending on their state of mind. So it's important for us to focus in public places specifically, or at work or wherever we are, on ourselves and only ground ourselves in our own space, maybe our own office, our own cubicle, our own, workstation, or, in public, you ground yourself if you're walking around. So it's really important to be mindful of that. Now, when you're at home, and this is your home, and you have your family living with you, it is really important to ground your house because this is your nucleus, your people, your network. And something that we can do that's a very powerful tool to neutralize energy if there's any kind of negativity going on in a home, grounding the home space where you are in allows, the balancing of the positive, negative charges within that space. It brings that area, that living space, into the present moment, okay? And it also allows you to protect your space for any entities that may be shifting timelines there for you or altering moods, feeding off, hormonal shifts in the body. So we got to understand that because we're multidimensional, we're dealing with many aspects of reality. And our endocrine system and our perception from our skin, for example, from what we're perceiving as like our receptors on the body are constantly interacting with our surroundings. So if we ground the space that we're in, then we allow ourselves to be coming back into the present moment in this time and space.
What about grounding people who are negative around you? Let's say you have a negative coworker or relative or, I think we all have that friend that the sky is always falling and it's always dark outside. And nothing is ever, I think we all got that person, we can name them. They're probably in our speed dial list. But nonetheless, how do you or can you ground someone who is continually negative around you?
No, I have to say, as an energy healer, that the laws of the universe always allow for free will. So we cannot impose our will on others, and that is the proper way of managing energy. Unfortunately, we cannot be responsible for anyone else but ourselves. Okay? Now, when a healer is working with someone, for example, and you ask permission to assist them, if they require assistance in grounding or healing, maybe they're ecstatic, panicking, fearful, and as a healer you can assist them in grounding themselves, that's a different story. But when I talk about free will, it means that we have to have the permission from the other person in order to assess any kind of energy work or shifts in their energetic space. Yeah.
But what if you have that person, let's say you got Mr. or Miss Negativity who is constantly ringing you up and you're taking on that energy pattern because you feel that you need to help them. They're your friend and they need some advice, and these advice talks seem to happen every night or every second night, whatever it may be, and you take on that energy. By the end, I think we've all been through that, where you're feeling pretty down and destitute on your own.
Absolutely. And that is a very real, very common thing that happens to us all. And there are two things that need to be addressed here. Number one, we have to assess our boundaries. I mean, we are not victims of anything or anyone in this reality. We have to understand that our energy is important. It's sacred. It's valuable. And we have to understand that wherever we put our energy, it's what we're creating in our reality. So if we don't know how to say no, or, maybe I can talk to you another time, or maybe we can find a better way to communicate, creating healthy energetic boundaries, then that's our pure 100% responsibility. Now, if we are deciding to communicate with a person that may be toxic, that may be a vampire, which is very real, people that feed off of telling you their problems, crying on your shoulder constantly without taking their own empowerment, that is a problem. And if we can assist them in seeing that by maybe suggesting different ways of allocating that energy or that expression, that can be of a great service to them. But individually, from us, it's our 100% responsibility. Now, if we are in a workplace where we're dealing with someone that is, a negative environment, there's two things. Because we are in charge of our reality, number one, if you run energy, meditate, and clear your karmic contracts on a daily basis, you cannot be in resonance with this level of vibration. So you will not be put in the situations where you feel that someone is draining your energy. That's one thing. Okay? Two, when you're in that environment, and if you haven't ran energy and cleared your contracts, you are here in front of this person. You must learn how to protect your energy. And you can do that by visualizing a sphere, a very, very thick protective shield around your body, and being very mindful that there are no openings in your space where this person's energy can seep in through the body, because literally, if you look at the multidimensional body, energetic connections are made immediately with everyone that we interact with. That means we cord to people. So if you can imagine seeing this world in another dimension, or each other even, we can see all of the cords that are connecting us to all of the people that we've interacted with. And it's our responsibility to cut those cords constantly, to clean up that energetic space in order to diffuse that kind of energy siphoning that is constantly occurring. Okay, so those are the things that we must learn how to do, and they're very important. And when we cut those cords, there will be a tremendous release of energy in the interaction with those two people. Further, in order to protect yourself with your shield, if you practice these very basic energetic techniques, you can even visualize going into invisible mode. And I know that this sounds pretty fantastic, but this is something that has been used in a lot of karate techniques, many martial art techniques for self-defense. And that is taking back your energy in a way where you are not resonating or bouncing back energetically towards the other person. And when you do that, the other person doesn't feel that their energy they're putting out is being reciprocated, so they get tired and they feel drained instead of taking your energy, because they're not feeding off anything. So that's another very powerful technique that you can utilize when you are faced with a toxic environment like that.
Let's get to a question from Sonia, who is new to our chat room. Thank you, Sonia, for chiming on in. We'll get to your question right now. She is asking, I shield my son and my dogs and my house Is shielding the same as grounding? Not sure how one grounds a house.
Okay, great question. So grounding a house is just like grounding ourselves. When we ground ourselves, we are connecting, creating a connection to our body that connects to our shoulders, our waist, our hips, our legs, and connects all the way down to the center of the earth as we anchor ourselves. We are anchoring ourselves and bringing ourselves in alignment with this physical plane. And we do that for many reasons in order to balance the positive negative charges in the body, coming into theta state, coming into present moment, and it is powerful for healing the body. Now, when we do the house, it's the same thing. You're going to visualize the four corners of the house and also a center cord at the very middle of the house or the room that you are in, and you're going to create that cord, and the cord can be anything. It can be a rope. You can visualize roots of a tree. You can visualize a pole of light. Whatever feels real to you, that's easy for you to visualize. From the four corners of the building or room, you're going to pull that connection all the way down, anchor it to the core of the planet. And so it is a powerful shift. When you do this, you really notice the entire energy in the home coming into a more solid state. That's like the best way I can explain how you're going to feel what you're doing. And that is how you ground any space. You can ground your car that you're in. You can ground the house that you're in, your office, your cubicle, your chair, any kind of space that you are in, you can ground, okay? Now, when you are protecting your space, it's the same thing. You visualize a gigantic sphere around the house that is completely impenetrable. And you have to visualize the sphere that it goes even underneath the house, under the ground, everything. It has to be completely enclosed. And this is very important for us, especially when we have children or if we're being attacked energetically, or if we feel we are having ET contact or any kind of contact that is out of our physical realm here, physical dimension, it will assist us in grounding and protecting our space.
We only got a couple of minutes before we got to go to break, so we'll take on the alien stuff in hour number 2 with you. But when it comes to the intention and the grounding and the cleansing, how do you perceive in your mind what is going on and what you are seeing in order to feel that protection zone? Because a lot of people will have troubles picturing it, especially if they don't believe. I mean, they're going to think, that, oh, this is just a bunch of cockamamie crap. I'm not really seeing anything. What am I supposed to see? And if they can't visualize it, they're going to call it BS because that's what their mind is going to say it is. So what are they supposed to see?
Well, first of all, if you're listening to this radio station, obviously you have some kind of ability to see or sense or connect with a spiritual self, with your own connection to yourself. So your ability to see these things, like I said earlier, there's many different ways to communicate with the energies of the world. And whether we are different levels of psychic abilities to hear things, see things, feel things. So you got to identify in yourself what is your way to see and feel things. If seeing color is something that assists you, then you can see a color. You can see color, and you can visualize the house being grounded and protected by utilizing a color. If you are a visual person and you can actually see cords coming out of the house, going down through the center of the earth and connecting to the core of the planet, then you can utilize that technique. Everyone can reach the point where they are able to visualize this if they set their mind to do it, if they clear their mind from all the clutter and doubt. And usually doubt is a reflection of their own self-doubt, their inability to connect with themselves and to have that communication. And we are all learning to get out of that mindset. We're coming into a new mindset where we are connected with ourselves. So we have to be able to train ourselves to connect and to use the tools available to us to visualize, And if you're dealing with attacks and then I'm sure you're going to want to try to learn how to utilize these tools, because wherever you go, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. All of these tools have been used for centuries in protecting our energy, our body, and our living spaces. So what you're going to see is what feels real to you. That is my answer for that, because people may think that safety is leaves or little flowers or light or stars, and other people may need to visualize being in a prison, wall, enclosed in a prison wall with barbed wire or whatever it is. But every person has their own way of imagining and seeing. Imagination, everyone has imagination. So we have to utilize that tool to create and manifest. And the next thing I would say is to clear your mind. Clear your mind so that you're able to access what feels right, using your intuition to see if grounding feels right for you, if it feels protective, if it feels like it's in the present moment. We have to utilize the 5 senses to be able to communicate with our surroundings. And feeling the space and the change in the energy, you're going to feel it. If you're doing it, you're going to feel it very strongly. And I teach this to corporate, to business people, sales people, sales teams. I teach this individually to all kinds of people. And it is a very powerful tool that can be utilized in many different ways.
And on that note, we are going to hop out for our first break of the night. Geraldine Orozco comes in the first Tuesday of every month with The Spiritual You. She's with us for the first 2 hours of the show. Everett Themer will be in for an extended Encounter Newswire for hour number 3. And in hour number 2 with Geraldine, we're going to get into ET contact, downloads, intuition, and so much more. Lots always to talk about with the beautiful and lovely, talented Geraldine Orozco. BayAreaMeditation.com is her website if you want to check it on out. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back with hour number 2 right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tess Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
There's news, and there's The Encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Thiemer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Chris Cogswell and Chris George Zuger joining us to break down the science in reality paranormal. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We say hello to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can also check out our archives for free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Theanthroposophy. Theanthroposophy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have some changes coming in the next short while. I hope you like them, but for now, you can find a plethora of features. You could rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. The first Tuesday of every month, we have Geraldine Orozco come on in for The Spiritual You, where we get into everything from yoga and meditation to ET contact, which is where we are going now. Geraldine's website is bayareameditation.com. If you want to check her on out, I highly suggest you do. She's one of the loveliest and most honest voices in this industry, according to Dave here. That is me speaking in third person. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hello.
ET contact.
Thank you for that introduction. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. ET contact. We have a lot of people out there who have no idea what is happening to them and why it is happening to them. Through Bay Area Meditation, you have met a number of ET contactees who have had both positive and negative experiences. Is every individual and every experience unique, or is it something that there is some sort of pattern per person that shows what they are going through and why?
Well, let's see. There's a lot of different topics there, and if we want to talk about unique experiences, we can talk about, for example, in the hybridization program. When we talk about the hybridization program, which I am a part, what doesn't make it necessarily what can identify that kind of a contact is, for example, how the person is selected to participate in that. And what I've seen is that it has to do with DNA lineage. A lot of this contact goes down in family lines. So if a person, usually if one person is experiencing abduction, a lot of times one of the parents had been experiencing, or both have been experiencing contact as well. Now, experiencing contact may not be as apparent as one may think. I mean, it can happen through dreams, screen memories, and oftentimes people need to go through and remember and recall these memories either through, meditation or regression to really access what happened to them in that kind of a contact. So someone may think, oh, all I did was dream about aliens when I was younger. But if we really look back at those kinds of dreams, those dreams sometimes are so in detail, so vivid, so clear, things that sometimes we've never seen before, and that's when you can start getting a red flag that may actually be a recall of a memory or a screen memory of what had occurred during that contact. So one of the things that we find, and that I'm finding here, is that the contact goes through lineages. So DNA lineages, and it could be a number of things. It could be, the activity that is recorded within the DNA or the soul journey of each individual person, and usually that soul journey is connected with their network, which the network means their family, their partner, their friends, all of the people that they are interacting in their lifetime have some kind of agreements on some level. And sometimes not. Sometimes it's an interception where they do not have an agreement to experience this kind of a contact. So it really just depends on the kind of experience that they're going through. Now, the other side of this would be a MyLab experience where it is the military that has abducted the person, and they have memories, for example, of medical procedures being done, being in some kind of medical office. And, there's many different ways that one can identify what kind of contact they had, specifically when we're talking about alien or MyLab or this kind of abduction experience where we have, recognition through dreams or memories or just, screen images that come into our mind. So there's many different ways, and those can be identified. My good friend Misha Johnson and Melinda Leslie, both of them are experts in this field. I mean, there's many experts, but I've worked with them, and they have helped me a lot, especially Misha Johnson, in identifying the kind of contact that I've had through questionnaires, for example, going through a list of questions to identify what kind of contact was being experienced at the time. And so when we talk about DNA, it's very interesting because sometimes the experience is to receive, genetic material, and so people will have experiences of being abducted, inseminated, or with children, with hybrid children. And there's many levels and layers to this kind of contact that we can get into if we want to get more specific on it. But just as a general overview.
We can do that. We can do that. Let's go for it.
Yeah, sure. But to finish the thought, the other side of it would be discussing, contact, just memories of being on alien ships or seeing a lot of UFOs or seeing strange beings in your dreams. And when we're talking about extraterrestrial contact or MyLab, they are very specific to that kind of a genre. Now, when we're talking about contact with other things like spirits and entities and other things, that's a whole different department. Sometimes they may overlap in some way. They may seem that way, but usually they're quite separate. So, yeah.
Well, let's go into the idea of breaking it down.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
Well, we can start, let's see. We can start with hybridization.
Sure.
And the reason why I want to start there is because it's something that is very close to my personal experiences. And I am in the process of opening Hybrid Mother website that is going to be a support group for hybrid mothers and hybrid fathers out there internationally that are dealing with this kind of a contact. And I am opening that kind of a resource because when I was experiencing contact, I wasn't sure how to define my experiences. And so dreams that I would have personally of seeing children, being introduced to children, that was the first step into getting into all of this. And it was through regression that I was able to identify what exactly had happened. And that's when I found out that I was a lifelong abductee since I was 5 years old being abducted. And later on, even having MyLab experiences that, were directly from the military. So, there's many levels to it. Now, the hybridization program, what that means, there's many different programs per se, and the purpose of them is to create children that are hybrid, meaning that they are a genetic mix of human DNA with alien DNA. So that can be any number of races because there are many different races of species out there. And the purpose is to create the hybrid child which contains the combination of DNA. Now, DNA, the way I look at DNA personally is like pure information because DNA records all our experiences from our lifetime since the beginning of our life cycle here in this dimension, but also holding information, suppressed information from other cycles of life here on this planet and or off planet. Any experience that soul has experienced is recorded in the DNA in the third dimension. So that information is mixed with the DNA or the biological information of other species in order to create a hybrid child, another being that is holding on to this information, which assists them in having the, let's say, flexibility of communicating interdimensionally with the different dimensions, because they hold that information in their organism. So, so the genetic creation of these hybrids, what they're being used for, is a huge question that, through my personal experience, I've been able to find out my personal truth and answers on that, and it has to do with diluting of our information in some way, of utilizing the information to prolong the life support that is being provided in this matrix universe. And that's one way to look at it. Another way that people look at it is that they are creating high vibrational, if the person there's two experiences, a very low, negative, horrible experience and a high vibrational experience. Now, those experiences I do not believe necessarily define the kind of agenda or purpose of the product of the hybrid. Because I believe that, these beings have a very strong control over our psyche unless somehow a memory is leaked and then brought into the 3D, where you're now having the dream of seeing these beings and interacting with them. So a lot of the activity that happens usually will go without any memory or recognition. If it leaks through, it'll come through in a dream, it'll come through in a memory, or something like that.
With that dream or memory, how do we know it's just not imagination? I struggle with that one. Let me expand on that. I struggle with that one because I am someone who doesn't remember my dreams. I can't tell you what I dreamt last night, the night before, but if I have an ET dream, by God, it is clear as day. Only snippets of it, but it's clear as day. That's how I know for myself, in learning about myself, how I've been able to tell whether or not I've been taken. But for a lot of people who are very conscious of what they dream every night, how are they supposed to tell what is actually their mind dreaming and an actual encounter?
Well, that's a great question. And I mean, I guess a person that remembers their dream is also showing us their level of consciousness and their interaction with their subconscious mind. But at the same time, contact can be defined as, and the real answer is you really can't unless you go in regression and you actually, prove that that's what occurred to you. Now, when it's a real abduction that you are now bringing into the 3D, you can also look at marks on the body, because this is something that's very real. This is not something that people are imagining. If you are actually being abducted and taken on a ship, you will have marks, there will be changes, there will be something to signal sometimes that this activity has occurred. And if there is nothing, if there is no marks on your body, if there's no, if you can't identify it with like a UV light, or you don't have any changes in your psyche and your abilities or anything like that. Because for me, for example, my psychic abilities changed from one day to the next, just like that. And that was my way of knowing what happened and really happening. Now, another thing is that these dreams, because I do remember my dreams sometimes, not always, but sometimes. The difference between a dream and an abduction is that the dream, a lot of people will say it's realer than real life. And that's one way that someone can identify that the dream, not only are you in complete detail of what you're seeing and experiencing, but it is like a real experience that over time you cannot forget, just like you're saying, like it's very real. And so that's something that is an experience when your body, because our body is constantly absorbing experiences and recording it, not just on the mind, in the memory records, but also the muscles, the cells, all your body is recording experiences. So when we go through regression, we relive the experience. Our entire body goes into that experience. When we are triggered by a memory or a picture that somebody puts up, and all of a sudden we recall a memory that we never knew we had in our mind, that's because the body reacts and is interacting with that information, because we hold information on more ways than one. So these abductions are, they are recorded in our body and our subconscious mind on a much deeper level than just dreams. And I've noticed that for myself, because from my abduction in 2013, I can recall that experience that maybe someone could have said was like a dream, but I can recall it and relive it in this moment vividly, emotionally, physically, on every level. And I can't say that about any dream that I've ever had in my life. So I think there's many ways to identify that. And the best way is regression, really. I suggest that to anyone that has had this, not just for personal reasons, but for also for research and for helping others understand that this is something that's very real.
When people are having positive abduction compared to contact, say, negative contact, are the situations the same? Because there's a lot of people out there who believe, Geraldine, that if you are having any sort of positive contact, it is a masking of sorts by the extraterrestrials to make you feel that way, when in reality, it's very negative.
Absolutely. I from a personal experience, I've had that occur to me. Where they will screen image an experience and make it look like everything is wonderful and you're having a lovely time on a ship, but in reality, they're I don't know, taking eggs from you, or, taking samples out of your back or something. So this is a very real thing. And really, what I've been realizing on my journey, not only from healing and understanding all of these experiences, but that we really need to learn how to dominate our mind and our thoughts and our experiences. And going back to your question directly before I get into that, that are they different? That is the thing. We're dealing with something that is so far beyond us that we really don't know the true agenda of these beings. We really cannot know. Because of this reason that they screen these images and because they change things. Now, if you are someone that is psychic and that has the ability of, I don't know, even remote viewing or seeing beyond those screens, which a lot of people do have, they have the ability, and I have experienced it myself as a child coming into a hybridization ship, and they screen image for all the children a play place that looks beautiful and wonderful, but in reality, in the other room, they're taking samples from the children. Now, I've experienced that firsthand, and I understand how the mechanism of that operates and how they screen image and work with the chemistry of the mind. So we really don't know. And unless we have that really, if we're exercising our intuition and our ability to go into regression and see beyond those limited images, we won't be able to access that information. Now, on the other spectrum of this, there's also people that have decided to self-preserve from looking at this information. And it doesn't matter how many regressions they take, they do not want to access that information. They will have all the signs of being abducted. They will have, the marks, the whole 9 yards, the memories, the images, confirmations, all that. But yet when they put them in regression, they only see the screen image. And that is something that's very real. And, it has to do with each person's individual contractual agreement with the experience. Some people are here to have the experiences and remember and recall and talk about them and share them, and other people are meant to just explore the experiences and participate in them. And sometimes they're interceptions where these beings are, coming in and acting without any kind of consent of any kind, So there's many different layers to this topic, David. It's kind of complex, and there's no one answer, because ultimately it doesn't matter if you say that you have seen beyond the universe. We really just don't know. There are so many different races out there vibrationally of these beings. Maybe they're all screening. Maybe they're all high vibrational beings, and we're all just afraid and feeding off that fear, But ultimately, to train our mind and our body is the most important. And this was what takes me to the next topic, that we are not realizing that our ability to work on different dimensions is provided to us in our dream time. And it is in dream time that we have the ability to learn to manage and control our mind by learning how to do lucid dreaming, training ourselves to be in control in our dreams. And when we do that, we are able to access information and to see beyond the veils of illusion or deception that they may be placing on us. So at the end of the day, each and every one of us has the responsibility to access that information. So, training the body and the mind to be present in this reality, in this dimension of waking time, and also in other dimensions. That's our responsibility.
I understand that it's our responsibility and it's our understanding of everything that is going on, but is this manuscripted? Is it, there's a lot of people out there, and I don't really buy this, that it's already preconceived that it is supposed to happen, whether it's positive contact or negative contact. Like I said, I don't really buy that, this whole I signed a contract to be taken stuff in the netherworld. And there are a lot of people out there, though, who do believe that. And I think that's a little too far out for even proper thinking, Geraldine.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yes and no. It really depends on your belief of our existence here, okay? And I think it's a matter of understanding many layers of reality, but ultimately, the truth is we really, truly don't know. We truly, really don't know. If you look at the structure of this universe and the reality that we're in this matrix universe, and how this reality on this planet is structured and fractalized into different departments of belief and control, if you look at that and how we are living, cycling through lives here, you come to the point where you realize that it's not necessarily a free will planet, but you do have the ability to see beyond the illusion, of even our life here on this planet. And if you see that, that there are, on some level, some kind of contractual agreements with even the people that you're sharing your life with. And we know that. We can say that we know that based on the experiences that we share and how we are evolving. Our mind is evolving and healing, meaning that we are we're presented with opportunities to heal every moment throughout our lives. If you notice that as a possibility, then you might consider the option that we are connected somehow on contractual agreements. If you do not look at that and you want to reject that thought completely, then what is the alternative? That are we enslaved in this planet? Are we on a slave planet? And then the question is, well, how do you get out of that enslavement? And so even then, there's still the opportunity for empowerment on some level. So we have a responsibility for our own soul, our own self. And so that would then open the conversation for how, if they are intercepting, then does it matter? Does it matter that they're taking you and they're doing whatever they want to do? At the end of the day, if you're here and you believe that you're on a slave planet, what's the point? You're here experiencing this reality, and they are, let's say, in control of this reality. If that is your belief, and you are a victim of that, then you hand over your power to that, and you can't do anything else other than what? Heal yourself, become conscious. It's something that we need to debate and talk about, The other side of that is someone that has free will, someone that feels that they have some kind of control over their illusion here in this lifetime or their life, their experiences. Because whether you like it or not, the technology that these beings operate is on much more advanced. I mean, we're here tinkering with little toys in comparison to what the technology is outside of us. So they have the ability to control and manipulate time and space, the physics of reality. They can take a wall and take you from your room whenever they please, whenever they need to. So, I guess we want to talk about ethics. We want to talk about what's right and wrong, but that's not the reality of how this reality structure operates. There are boundaries, and the boundaries come from our understanding our own strength, our own identity, who we are. And I think that's something that we have to become clear on, whether we agree with what they're doing or not. Because when we do see that, then we can see that we have the ability to somehow take back our empowerment from the perspective that we are leaving somehow the cycle that we keep cycling here on this so-called prison planet. What are your thoughts on that, Dave?
There are so many thoughts that I could have on that. It's just, I guess I try to remain a little bit skeptical on things. And I have a real hard time resonating with these contractual obligations that we may or may not have made before we were born, and in a conscious level of ethereal, godly, heavenly vastness, or wherever it is. I ran out of adjectives there, so I do apologize. But nonetheless, I do have an issue with it. Like, just something about it just does not comprehend that 2 + 2 is equaling 4 here.
Sure. I see what you mean. I understand what you mean. But I'm going to take it to another perspective here. I'm going to tell you the perspective from myself as a healer. Okay? Just bring it back to home here. When I work with people that are ill, when I work with people that are having tremendous blockages in their lifetime, and we do the energetic work of destroying contractual agreements with those people, with those things, with the illness, the kind of shift and change that I see in people is magnificent. Okay? So I got to say, whether it's with a word of using contract, or maybe it's in some kind of energetic enlacement of some sort to the experiences that we are experiencing here on this planet. On some level, there is a connection that connects us to these experiences. Whether you want to call it a contract, an enlacement, a rope, whatever it is, we have the ability of changing and shifting sometimes these kinds of connections to our experiences. So from that perspective, these kinds of experiences, when we raise our vibration, and this has been one of the most powerful techniques that I have utilized in my own healing and protection, I do not experience these kinds of experiences. Okay, and so that's something that I teach to people that are having difficulties with these experiences, and it works every time. So there is some truth there that when we are doing the work on deeper levels, we can somehow disseminate some of this energetic, a connection, or somehow we are breaking the ties to this. I mean, it's a controversial subject. There's many ways to look at it, and I'm just telling you my perspective from my experience and my own.
And I understand that.
Ability.
I understand that and appreciate that. And I think I know you well enough where I know you're not going to come in and BS the audience with a bunch of information just to make yourself look better. And trust me, we've had guests on the show who have tried to do that, and it comes back negatively to affect them. But for everybody else, I mean, there is a God complex that kind of goes along with this, especially if it involves contracts with aliens and some sort of agreement that they have, basically said, okay, you've signed a contract that we're going to come down from Zeta Reticuli or the Draco system and literally butcher you your whole life and use you as an operating guinea pig, much like the game Operation by Parker Brothers. And, we're gonna make your life a living hell. I just don't see why anybody would sign up for that.
Well, and again, we don't know the truth. We don't know the ultimate truth of all of this. But I got to tell you that, if you understand the structure of the universe and how everything operates in this organism that we call Matrix universe, everything is intelligence. It's like a programmable intelligence, including ourselves. We are programmable. And we are put into these little bodies on this planet here. And, one thing is to feel that we are enslaved and maybe, subject to all of this guinea pig. But there's also the side of people that believe that hybrids that are being created to expand higher vibration, or maybe create and alter reality that comes from a higher vibration. We cannot deny the fact that information, including DNA and biological material, is information. So in reality, if you take out the whole illusion of a human being butchered or used, like sometimes I feel like it's kind of an illusion to think of things like that, because at the end of the day, we are all just information and vibrational information. And really what matters is our frequency that we are emitting. And if we focus on the fact that we are being taken and utilized as guinea pigs, that is definitely not going to help us in any way. That's not going to help us in any way. Okay? If we understand that we are more empowered, and it's true that the multidimensional body has been altered in order to be dumbed down, our technology has been stalled, our understanding of our body has been changed so that we cannot understand how powerful we are, and we feel helpless. We feel like guinea pigs. We feel like lab rats. That is the product of the Matrix, and it's working very hard to make us believe that. And the truth is that we are far more powerful than we even know, than we're even capable of knowing. And there's a reason for that, Dave. So whether there's a contractual agreement or not, our human body is clearly being manipulated in order to weaken us. So I think we got to focus on that more than anything else at the end of the day, right?
Let's get to Christoph's question. He is asking, is this planet then considered just a place to learn?
What I've seen is that this Matrix universe is almost like an organism that has separated itself from Source. Okay, Source. It's so expansive, infinite energy consciousness, and its sole purpose is to experience, to learn, to evolve, and purely just experience. And I feel that each one of us are a fractal of that source, and so we are experiencing life here, learning, evolving, moving through a universe, a matrix universe that is constantly evolving. And if you look at things like that, then each one of us is here learning and experiencing things in order to bring back to Source that consciousness, that experience of having gone through, this life cycle here. Now, what I do feel is that in some way we are stuck within this manifestation of a matrix universe, and that we do have the ability to leave this manifestation to be able to explore and experience all aspects of reality of this existence. Because there's many. We are here in a physical 3D reality, but there's also many different dimensions of reality that go up to light, to shapes, to different existences of reality, of matter, different levels of physics and maths and worlds, different existences of reality. So, Source and its infinite intelligence has the ability to experience all aspects of reality. And I really strongly believe that each one of us, as a fractal of that Source, the purpose is to experience and really nothing more.
So intriguing. Absolutely intriguing in regards to this topic, because it is so far over the edge with reality. And I mean that in a positive way, that it is hard for a lot of people listening to fathom. So I think people in general, bringing it all around here, Geraldine, I think people can imagine and comprehend that there are some out there who are ET experiencers, who have had both positive and negative contact. But do people then really understand the extent of the trauma that is happening to people's bodies or even their own? How would they know?
How would they know if they have experienced trauma? Or
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, I know I've been taken 6 times. I don't know what the hell's happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people like that.
Sure. And I mean, if it wasn't for the regressions that I went through, I wouldn't have known what I have gone through myself in my own experiences. But trauma is one thing. And I mean, what I see is that the real trauma that is left behind a lot of times has to do with military laboratory experience as well. Okay. And I think that's really where we start to see, more physical proof of all of this contact that we're receiving. And I mean, different people experience and process experiences differently, right? So, I mean, what the question is mainly how would people know if they experience trauma, or what is the question exactly?
Well, there's a lot of people out there who believe they may have been taken, but their body doesn't feel any different. Okay?
Right.
They may have dreamed about having a very negative experience, and they may have woke it up on the table or remember screaming at the sight of, some ugly reptilian standing over them, but they don't know what happened to their body. And a lot of people out there either don't buy hypnotherapy, or they just maybe cannot afford to have a hypnotherapy session to learn what went on with them.
Yeah, and I mean, that is true. That's true. And really, at the end of the day, I mean, if you have had the dreams of having contact and you've experienced this kind of a thing, you've had trauma, then if you cannot afford regression to find out what happened, and a lot of people simply don't want to know what happened. They don't want to know. Some people want to know, so they will go for regression, but others don't. Then the important thing to focus on is the trauma itself and healing that aspect of trauma. And you can focus on healing trauma through meditation, through a lot of your own personal regression and healing to access what happened there. Trauma can occur any time a person feels helpless in any way, whether it's somebody making fun of them or somebody doing something to them. A person will process trauma in any specific way. So when it comes to alien contact, you don't know if it's alien contact or if it could be military as well. I mean, there's many different kinds of contacts that a person can experience. And I mean, I guess the question is, does the person want to know? If the person wants to know, they will go through the regression or they will go through their own personal sessions. And another thing that I would suggest is to talk about it, because a lot of people are not talking about what's happening. And I think that that's what causes such a huge gap between people that are truly experiencing these things and people that cannot fathom these things occurring. It's because they've never been exposed to it, and it's our fault. It's our fault because, we believe in the structure of silencing these activities that are beyond our what we believe is normal. What is normal? Normal has been handed to us, written on a paper, and we believe it, and we decide to follow along with that. And that can't be farther than truth. We have to, at this moment in time where we're coming into a lot of disclosure of many different topics around the world, a lot of things are cleaning up energetically, be able to speak about these things openly, to share them. And a person with trauma, having had experience in the body, through even just speaking about it by joining a support group, is going to be able to process that information much better than a person that is holding on to all of these memories. Okay? And, if a person just has memories and dreams of it, they could have experienced any number of things. It could just be a dream, or it can actually be an abduction, or it could be a military experience. I mean, it can be any number of things. And the human body has the ability to heal from trauma by processing and accepting what has happened. And I think that that's where our focus should be on. That should be the priority with anyone that undergoes these kinds of experiences, is healing the trauma that's occurred.
What about the hybridization program?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm bringing up with that is it seems so violent both on a male side and a female side, where women just literally, to put it grotesquely, they get basically spread apart and their eggs taken from them. Men the same way, except they get flipped over and they get Whitley'd, i.e. Whitley Strieber.
Well,
why is it so violent?
I really cannot agree that all of the experiences are violent. I mean, there's thousands of people around the world that have experienced this kind of experience, and some people have experienced violent experiences, and others have not. And I think it really comes down to us talking again about these experiences in order for us to be able to learn more about them. Okay, because some of these experiences could be my lab and military laboratory. A lot of times, those are terrible. They're terribly violent, and that's our own government coming in, taking women and men, and utilizing their genetic material to make hybrids as well. And on the other end of it, we have alien races that are coming, taking humans here, and having those experiences as well. Personally, my experiences, I have been a part of 3 different hybridization programs. And I can tell you that my experience with draconian race, which is not the same as a reptilian, we have to be very clear about differentiating the different kinds of species that there are out there. Because, we tend to say reptilian, draconian in one category, but that's not really true. Draconian is one race. It's one of the oldest races in our universe, and I have participated in that hybridization program, and I've seen how they operate. And yes, it is a very low vibration, very negative, very dark, agenda. That, and you can't argue with that. I mean, that's the experience that I've had, and I've heard this experience from many others as well. And what I've seen is that the draconian agenda is the one that is managing and ruling the agenda that we have here within our government, in our military. Okay, that's what I have seen. That's what I have experienced. So if you look at it from that perspective, the experiences that are happening from the draconian and from the government, a lot of times you will see a lot of parallels in those experiences. Now, from the other spectrum, the experiences that I have had from alien races, let's say tall grays that are masking as Pleiadians, or Pleiadi identifying as other races, my experiences have not been traumatic. Whether they were screened or not, I do not know. Did they take my material? Yes. And, there are children that were produced from that. And so, there's many different experiences. And I think for research purposes and for us to become clear about this, we got to talk about it. We got to identify who is experiencing what. And I think that will help us clarify what these experiences and how we can learn from them and how to work with this information. But, they're not all violent. I really can't agree with that. I mean, I've had violent experiences, yes, even as a child, and it was from the draconian agenda. And that's my personal experience.
So when you're dealing with people who are having experiences with greys, with mantids, with humanoid beings, with reptilians, are there any similarities between races as to what they do to people?
Well, one thing is races, and another thing is what they're doing. From the race perspective, we're talking about entire races, and what unites them is probably their genetic make, not necessarily their physical appearance. And I say that because with my experiences with, let's say, Pleiadians, I have seen humanoids, I have seen tall grays, I have seen, also mantis, I have seen different races, and even reptilians within that Pleiadian, identified as Pleiadians. Now, when it comes to reptilians, also, reptilians of a higher vibration, they look like reptoids. There's also humanoid reptilians that are mixed with reptoids, reptilian type beings. When you look at the draconians, they are very, at least in my experience, a very specific looking race. And their agenda is very specific. It is very low vibration. The experience with them have been traumatic. I have seen their mothership. I have been aboard the mothership, and I have seen how they operate and what they do, and I have seen their hybridization ships, and I've seen how they screen their activities. I'm not saying that the other alien races couldn't do the same, but I can tell you that there is a definite definition between the two. There's a difference between the two agendas from that experience, coming from a vibrational standpoint. Now, what they're doing, and at the end of the day, they're all taking matter, material. They're all taking genetic material in order to create hybrids. They're also testing. They're also utilizing that for their testings, for their whatever it is that they're doing, their experiments that they're doing. And my belief is that the majority of them are genetic manipulations that they're doing.
I understand that, and I see where you're going with that. But let's say these humanoids. We talk about the Pleiadians, we talk about Arcturians, and the avians or the blue avians or whatever they're called, these humanoid type beings that seem to land at Area 51 and party in Las Vegas, as so has been reported back in the day. But nonetheless, when I think of a humanoid, I don't see them doing something as grotesque as, say, what a mantid would do or a gray would do to somebody. The grays always seem so cold. We hear so many reports of them being very, lack of compassion or having a lack of compassion. And I think with a humanoid type being, you think, well, there's a person there, so it must be a little bit more of a brother or sisterhood along those lines.
I really cannot agree with that. And I have to tell you that I've seen with my own eyes, on a draconian mothership, they have a tremendous amount of humanoid beings there that are draconian. They are humanoid draconian. So let's just clarify something, that just because we're humanoid, and for us it's our norm to see each other as humans, and we have emotions here on this planet, that is just the genetic make of this specific program that we're running as humans on this dimension, on this planet. There's many different planets with many different life forms, and some of them may be human, some of them may be whatever they are, reptilian, even dinoids, even mantis, whatever they are, all the way up to Sasquatch type of beings. That is not the definition of their intention or their agenda or what they're planning on doing. And the other thing is that a lot of grays, for example, the small zetas are like little robotic beings that are programmable. So when we talk about races, we have to understand that we're talking about biological artificial intelligence per se. It's a biological artificial intelligence, which means that they can take any form, but the insides can be the same. They have their organisms, and each one of them have different kinds of organisms, architecture to their organisms, but all of them are manufactured on some level, and that's my belief in this Matrix universe, that all of these beings within the Matrix universe are manufactured or created by mixing biological matter. They are the draconians that are managing this matrix universe are master geneticists since the very beginning of our creation of life on this planet. And they have been experimenting, I believe, with our genetics since the beginning of time in order to serve their purposes. It can be a number of different reasons, agendas, or purposes that they are doing that. So, the humanoid, whether we're human, really does not define. And again, from the higher vibration, you have beings coming in from much higher dimensions of reality beyond this matrix universe, that surpass this matrix universe. Beings that don't even have a physical form anymore are pure high vibrational consciousness. We're talking about consciousness now, not technology, that are coming here and providing support or knowledge or assisting with the timeline changes that may be done on this matrix universe. And I think that that's something very important that we need to take into consideration. We cannot generalize. See, our limited vision of what is right and wrong, what is acceptable, really is so limited to this world. We are in a gigantic, massive organism with many different life forms, with different physics, mathematics, beliefs, that even the duality of positive, negative, feminine, and masculine is limited to this matrix universe. So, I think we need to think beyond the box here. If we're really going to get into this topic, we have to be able to think a little bit further.
Well, it'll have to wait one more month, my dear.
Yes.
We're at that time. You next will be on Monday, or make that Tuesday, September 4th. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me once again, and it was a pleasure.
Could you do me a favor? We got about a minute here. Tell everybody your schedule, your website, how they can get a hold of you, because I would absolutely love my audience to make sure that they stay in touch with you.
Thank you. My focus is DNA reprogramming, and as I'm talking here about leaving the matrix universe, I focus on empowering humans, me and you, to learn how to utilize the technology of the body. So we do that by deprogramming all of the programs that have been placed on us since childbirth on the many structures of reality. And you can reach me at bayareameditation.com or geraldineorozco.com. My sessions are a 3-part session. I train you how to utilize the technology. I come in and take you into a regression to heal the past. And I remove entities and attachments from your body that I help guide you as I see them. And I realign you and reconnect you to Source. So you can feel free to reach out to me. I am here to serve. And thank you so much, Dave, again, for a very amazing interview and discussion. Always a pleasure.
I always have fun with you.
All.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
Incredible conversation.
Even though you bailed on me and a couple other people for having drinks in San Francisco at Paracon or at UFOCon, but I'm not bitter. Lots of love, my dear. Lots of love, my dear. You take care. Geraldine Orozco, she will next be on the show with the Spiritual You, Tuesday, September 4th. Coming up next, we have an extended encounter with Everett Themer coming up after the break. Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Morin, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, Unite with your own personalized escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us and bring your questions for us to investigate right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, scientist Chris Cogswell and Chris George Zuger will break down the science in reality paranormal. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can check out our archives for free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Theanthroposophy. Theanthroposophy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. We're going to an extended version of the encounter tonight, so I'm just going to bring in Everett Themer and his theme music, because we want to make it all seem very, very comfortable for Everett. You know, we don't want him to all of a sudden say, hey, I got a theme song. I'm supposed to walk down the ramp to my theme song, and then all of a sudden just not play it. Everett Themer, thanks for coming in, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's always fun to hang out with the captain of Team Stump.
Oh, you're still on me about Team Stump. Thing's a tree, man. The thing is a tree. 10 miles high. It's a tree. I don't know how you don't see it. I don't know how you don't see it. So the reason why, I mean, we got to break this down now. Devil's Tower. Is that in South Dakota? Devil's Tower?
Wyoming.
Wyoming. I apologize. It's a Canadian in me. All right. We had a debate the other night on whether or not that's a tree. A tree stump.
And you were wrong.
It is a total tree stump. I'm allowed one weird thing on this show that I believe in, besides aliens, ghosts, gnomes, wood nymphs, Sasquatch, Dogman, besides believing in all that.
And apparently things flat earthers say.
More people than just flat earthers have said that. You know, just saying. Just saying. But nonetheless, the big topic here is whether or not it's a tree. But first, I want to get into it here for a quick second here, my friend, because I'm very excited about this, and I want to remind our audience that as of yesterday, tickets have officially gone on sale for the first annual Caribou Paracon that Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers will be putting on September 28th through 30th at the Spruce Hill Resort and Spa. Now,
that is awesome.
It is. Now, I apologize. I haven't got the link up on our website yet because we're doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work on our website right now, and I'm not very technically savvy. I really am not. And the main thing is we will get it up. We will get it up and here in the next couple days. But if you go to questers.ca, it's questers.ca, and then you click on the tab that says Fall Conference, you can scroll down right to the bottom, and the tickets to be purchased are right there. And we got a great lineup for a first year, man. We got a great lineup.
I know. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Are you going to make it up for it?
I am planning on getting up there.
I hope you do. I hope you do, because the Spruce Hill Resort and Spa, where it's going to be held, is absolutely phenomenal. I actually take my boy swimming there all the time because we don't have a town pool. My town is so small, we don't even have a town swimming pool. So I take my son to the resort to go swimming all the time. And they have just this beautiful, beautiful setup there. And the upstairs where the speakers are going to be in the main building is phenomenal. It's got a bar that's like almost 150 years old that was imported from Boston. It's a Brunswick bar. It's phenomenal.
That is cool.
And if you buy tickets to the event, they're $150 Canadian for the weekend. All right, that's for the event. We're also going to be providing with that, of course, hotel fees and food is separate, but we're also going to be providing with that access to a private bar where you can like hang out and mingle with Grant Cameron, Lorien Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, myself, Eric Cooper, Mike Morin, Michael W. Hall, Lori Niedermeyer, Tyson Bannigan, and others, Paisley Town, and we're all going to be hanging out. And we're all we want to make this really chill, really relaxed, where everybody is open and to talk to people and just mingling around, having a good time. And, how cool would it be, showing up at the Paracon, and let's say you've never seen Grant Cameron speak before, and you've got your tickets because you bought for the weekend, and next thing you know, you're sitting at a table, and Grant walks over, and you say, "Hey, Grant, have a seat." And he takes a seat and just chats about the weird and strange with you for like a half an hour to an hour, maybe more.
That could be a lot of fun.
Where are you going to get access like that, man? Where are you going to get access?
At the first annual Caribou Paracon.
Yeah, absolutely. So questers.ca is where the tickets are on sale right now, and I highly suggest you check it out. I want to see and I want to shake hands with as many Spaced Out Radio listeners as possible who can come to that. It is going to be an absolute blast. And I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous about putting this on because this will be really the first big name event that we have put Spaced Out Radio's name on. And it's really, really nerve-wracking because if it doesn't go well, you know who people blame. But I think it's going to be very, very good. Going to be very, very good. And I encourage all of you to come on up to my area. And we're, with that $150, you're also going to not only get access to the private bar, but you're also going to get 2 ghost hunts that Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada and Ghosts of the Great White North, he's going to be leading the tour along with David Weatherly and Ross Allison. That's on the Friday night, and again at a different location on the Sunday. On the Saturday night, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer, is going to be having a UFO skywatch, weather permitting. And I got to tell you, that time of year, there may also be a sighting of the Northern Lights. So if you've never seen them, that's a time to come up. But if
that's worth the price in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna, you got to pray for the sun to have a few, a little bit of a spasm, but nonetheless, it would be really cool to get a nice show of the Northern Lights while we're there, and that's what I'm hoping for. But nonetheless, it's going to be a great weekend. It's filled with speakers, filled with different little promotions and gatherings where if you want to meet, we're just opening it up and making it a lot of fun. And I want all of you to come on up. And right now, once again, questers.ca is where you can get tickets. Go to Fall Conference, scroll right to the bottom, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to it. And there's a lot of rooms at the hotel. So if you come up in a bunch of people, let's say 4 or 5 of you are coming up, they got like 20 or 30 different chalets that sleep 6. It's just going to be a blast.
That would be fun to bring up like a whole group and just have a cabin or a chalet like that.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely know, and I'm so looking forward to it. So looking forward to it, and I hope all of you can come on out and check it on out, because it's going to be just a phenomenal, phenomenal event, and I think everybody's going to have a very good time. And you can literally see that I live in the middle of nowhere where we are broadcasting this show.
Well, you know,
true.
You know, too, just the fact that you're able to get a lineup like that to commit to come up there, you know, that's telling people you're doing something right, because you're right. You do live in the middle of nowhere, so it's not an easy commute for some of these people, and they're still willing to come up. I mean, I think that should let people know that you're definitely doing something right.
Well, and you know, the big thing about that is we have a little bit of a trifecta of the area, because on September 30th, it will actually be the 30th anniversary of Miriam Delicato's abduction experience right outside of our town. The experience nobody talks about in this town.
And that is such an interesting case.
It totally is. Now, Miriam is not going to be making it this year, but, you know, we are going to pay tribute. We are totally going to pay tribute, because it is the 30th anniversary of this, and I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be great, and I'm very excited to, you know, be a part of it, and to have it happen, and to know that it's only like 7-8 weeks away. It's going to be pretty phenomenal to see that happen and come together. So once again, I'm inviting all of you, Spaced Out Radio listeners, to our first annual Caribou Paracon, September 28th through 30th. I know it's short notice. We had hoped to have tickets on sale a month or two ago, but you know what? If you got holidays or you got a weekend that you just want to get away, this is where you go. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, hopefully, I'm going to try my darndest to get up there, and I'm excited to get up there. But I do have one question.
Sure.
Is there a golf course nearby, or is there snow already?
No, the golf course is still in play. And I will say this, you know, my dad is an avid golfer. And, you know, he usually uses his 7-iron and hits it about 150 yards. And I remember the first time he golfed here, because we are 3/4 of a mile above sea level, he didn't take into consideration that the air is thinner up here. All right. And so when he hit his 7-iron, when he got back to my house, he's like, I can't figure it out. I'm a solid 150 on my 7-iron, and here I was hitting a ball about 165, 170. I said, Dad, You're forgetting about the thinner air. The ball is going to travel further. And here he thought, you know, that he had become so good that he was now driving around 280, 300, right? So it was kind of funny. But yes, the golf course is beautiful. The only thing I would suggest is watch out for bears.
Maybe we'll pass on the golfing.
The bears will run away the minute they see you. They will.
I'm not sure how to take that.
Oh no, they don't really like people. They get freaked out by people and golf carts, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but bring your sticks.
I'm planning on it. If I get up there, I am bringing them.
Good. I hope so. I absolutely hope so. And we're going to get Corey to open up the SOR hot tub too.
I don't know about that.
I know she lives dangerously. She absolutely lives dangerously, but we're gonna get her to open up the SOR hot tub to a few people. But yeah, a lot of people are actually talking about coming up early and spending a few days, because we do have so much going on up here, between hauntings, between ghosts. I know Grant wants to come up a few days early and David Weatherly and Ross Allison as well, because, you know, Mandy the Haunted Doll, one of the only 2 haunted dolls that David Weatherly has written about and never seen, is about 2 hours north of us in a town called Quesnel and he's never seen the doll live. He's only seen pictures of it.
Oh, he has to go see the doll.
Yeah, and I didn't know this, but Grant Cameron also owns shares in a historic gold mining town, which is now mostly a museum, called Barkerville. And he's never been there, so he wants to go up there too. So it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to make a lot of headwaves and really put this event on the map for year number 2.
Excellent.
All right, enough about us. Let's get to the encounters, shall we? What's going on in the world of the weird, strange, the odd, the obtuse, and the hashtag at Twitter?
Well, yesterday we kind of got a little focused on one particular topic, and we overlooked a couple of things that, as long as we have the time, I want to circle back around and mention, because some of the stuff is a little fun, a little funny, a little goofy, and I think I found you and I, or maybe you and Jamie, I think I found our future selves. I don't know if you heard about this story yet, but two elderly gentlemen escaped their nursing home to attend the Wacken Open Air Festival.
Good for them.
The heavy metal festival.
Good for them.
It was their intent to escape and go see. I believe they wanted to see Judas Priest. That was the band that they had definitely wanted to see.
Good for them. Good for
exactly.
them.
Do
you get suspended from your old folks' home or your nursing home if you do something like that?
Well, they were discovered missing overnight, and the police were called. They were found and returned to the nursing home. I don't think that they, got grounded or anything. I think they're a little too old for that. But, how cool is that to be that age and still wanting to go out and celebrate life a little bit?
I think there is nothing wrong with that. And you know what? How old are those guys?
They were in their early 80s.
Good for them. Good for them. Rock and roll is such an important, and music in general is such an important part of humanity, that I think it's absolutely fantastic that these guys would do that. I really do.
Definitely.
It gives me hope. It totally gives me hope that one day I can do the exact same.
And to have it happen at that festival, which is essentially the king of all of the rock and metal summer festivals. I mean, that is, I hope I am that lively, ornery.
How did they get tickets? That's what I want to know. How did they get tickets?
Could have bought them from scalpers. Could have bought them. I don't know. I don't know that it was sold out, so there could have possibly have been tickets available. I don't know. They didn't go into that. I think the big part of the story is that, these elderly gentlemen escaped with the intention of going to a heavy metal festival, and they were finally found that night at about 3:00 in the morning, and they were reluctant to go. They did not want to leave yet. They were still partying.
Good for them. Good for them. And I don't know how nursing homes work or anything, but are you not allowed to just come and go as you please?
Here in the U.S., there are different types of nursing homes.
Right.
I can't speak for Germany, but here there are some where you can come and go as you please. There are some that are sort of an assisted living community where you live on your own, but you have services and facilities available to you. And there are some that are very restrictive where you are almost in a hospital-like setting, and your time outside or in recreational activities is limited and controlled.
See, I think these guys got it right. I really do. And I'm sure if any of the bands would have known what they did, they would have got backstage passes.
Oh, you have to bet that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they went to see Judas Priest and Judas Priest found out about that at the show, you know damn well that they would have been carted to the back on their wheelchairs. How did they get there, though? Did they call a cab? Did they take a bus? How did they get there? And the other issue is, how did this nursing home not realize that these two guys were gone?
Well, some nursing homes do have issues. Again, I can't speak to German nursing homes, but it is possible with the oversight that some of these places have. I could see it being possible that somebody could escape or take a leisurely leave of absence from the place.
I mean, could you see these two old bastards just horns up, just giving it, to Priest or Vince Neil, and I just think it's fantastic. I do. There was like 75,000 people there. 75,000. And I mean, when you're at that age, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. You could grab a tush of a man or a woman, and then when they see you, they're not even going to care. They're going to be like, rock on, Grandpa, or rock on, Grandma. You know what I'm saying? Because all you would have to do at that age is show them the horns, and you're good.
I'm seriously hopeful that I am that way at that age. But I can totally, like I said, I can totally see this being you and Jamie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Me and Jamie Sexton, we will do this. I love this one quote from the police told the Deutsche Welle. The pair were disoriented and dazed when found, and probably a little pissed off their Taco Bell stop was thwarted, but they were generally in good spirits. Well, of course they're going to be disoriented and dazed. You know how much pot is going around there?
If you go to Wacken and you aren't disorientated and dazed, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still not sure, according to this article that I'm reading, if they had, if somebody helped them pre-order tickets online or if they bought them scalped at the door. But I really hope that, like, Judas Priest gets a hold of these guys and, like, sends them, like, concert shirts or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
And, if they do that, I hope that the nursing home allows these guys to post some photos in those shirts or something along those lines, because that is just, hey, you got to give them credit. That is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And how much on the cool factor? I mean, here these guys, they would have seen World War II, and they would have probably even fought in Germany at that time. Okay. How many of these guys out there, or their grandkids or great-grandkids, would be saying, my grandfather is the ultimate badass right now?
Exactly.
But, I think on another point, we should move on to another story right after this. But I think on another part, I think it also is a learning lesson for a lot of us that when we do get old, it doesn't mean that we have to, and we're put in those homes, it doesn't mean that we have to just wait there and rot until our death. They're not death traps.
Oh, definitely not. I don't feel any different or any older than I did when I was 20. And I'm still pretty immature.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, thank you. I assume, or I'm guessing that I'll still be that way in my 60s and 80s.
I hope so. I'm telling you right now, though, I sure as hell am not doing this job at 80. I'm going to be at rock festivals and concerts, in my wheelchair, and hopefully somebody, when they do the mosh pit and they pick up the guy in the wheelchair so he gets to get closer to the stage. When they do that, I want to be that guy. I totally want to be that guy.
Please tell me your wheelchair has one of those giant flags on the top of it so you can be seen over the crowd.
Oh, yeah. We're going to make sure of that. We're going to make total sure of that. I'm going to be watching.
That is awesome.
I'm going to be watching Bumblefoot on stage. He'll be getting around on a scooter while he's going crazy on his double B-foot VJ guitar. That's the way I look at it. I'm going to go for that. I want that.
You are a monster.
All about rock and roll, my friend. Because, like I said, when you get to that age, if you're at a rock concert, you can grab as much tush as you want, and nobody is going to smack you, because all you have to do is give the horns up.
Just so we're clear, I don't care how old we are, you ever grab my tush?
No, I'm
you're
not grabbing
getting
yours.
smacked.
I'm not grabbing yours. We'll have a go with our canes at that point. We'll have a go. We'll have a go with our. We'll start the mosh pit. You know, here we are in our wheelchairs at like 85 years old. All right, Everett, here I come. And you're going to be wheeling towards me at about half a mile an hour, and I'll be wheeling towards you at about mile an hour, and we're going to collide.
And Keith Richards will still be on stage.
He still will be on stage. I'm telling you, that man struck a deal with the devil. He totally struck a deal with the devil. I don't care what anybody says.
Seems more and more likely every day, doesn't it?
It sure does. Let's move on to the next story, my friend.
Do you belong to any fantasy sport leagues?
Yes, I technically no, but somewhat yes. I take part, the one geek thing that I actually do is I take part in an online hockey league. It's not a fantasy league. It's just like an online hockey league where you play the role of coach, general manager. We got agents in our league, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you have any weird things or, weird traditions or expectations that winners or losers or anybody has to do depending on, their outcomes?
We don't have that stupidity. What we do have, though, is the guys who run the league, including my buddy Mark, who, Gail was getting a little antsy with in our chat room tonight. Sorry, Gail. He and his brother started the league, and they actually engrave a crystal. They pay for it. They engrave a crystal beer stein if you win the league. So that's kind of how cool it is. But no, we don't do anything silly if you lose or anything like that.
Oh, boy. Well, a gentleman in Texas, after coming in last place in his fantasy football league, was required to wear a woman's dress out in public as a punishment for being in last place.
Aren't we beyond that? Like the whole...
Oh, no, I think that's hilarious.
At what point, though? No, I don't think it's funny at all. Like, that's like Ray Romano not funny. Rosie O'Donnell not funny. Roseanne Barr and Whoopi Goldberg not funny. John
Hey, you take
Stamos
Ray
not
Romano
funny.
out of that.
No, he is not funny, Everett. He is not funny. All right?
Yeah, but this was all in good fun. Everybody in the league knew about it or knows about it ahead of time. It's a risk, a chance, a choice you take.
Yeah, I mean, the good part is you get the fallback of getting the first overall pick. But, I mean, the creativity of men sometimes is ridiculous. I mean, how after all this time does a guy say, and I'm going to use Halloween as an example here, think, I guess what I'm dressing up at? I'm dressing up as a woman for Halloween. And, he goes down and buys, a bunch of female clothing and look at me, I'm a girl. Like, come on.
I'll give you that. Being Texas in the summertime, I think this would be much more fun if they made him wear like one of those full-size football.
Did he have
costumes?
to carry a sign? Did he have to carry a sign that this was his punishment?
Yeah, he had a sign and it said, "No money needed. I just suck at fantasy football."
Well, that's kind of funny. That is kind of funny, but I wouldn't have made him dress up in a skirt. That's terrible.
I'm telling you, I love this idea, but I think being a nice Texas summer, the idea of having him dress up in a nice big hot football, standing out in the sun in the corner, I think that would be much more fun.
See, that would be fun. That would be fun. But I mean, men out there, if you're part of a fantasy league, you're usually, wearing cargo shorts and a golf shirt with flip-flops. Okay? That's usually the way it goes when you take part in these fantasy things. That's how you dress.
Well, let's take a step back here, because earlier today I had cargo shorts and a golf shirt on.
I got cargo shorts on right now. But honestly, I swear to God, when you go to one of these fantasy league events or we go to our draft, it is almost like mandatory that you got to wear a golf shirt and cargo shorts and flip-flops. That's just the way it is.
See, I don't even have time for real sports, much less fantasy ones.
Oh, I know. But either way, I totally think, you got to have some credibility. Guys, the days of dressing up in a dress and treating your buddy like a woman, it's over. And it's not because it's being politically correct or incorrect with the way society is with 978 different genders now or whatever it is. All right? It has nothing to do with that. It's about creativity. Let's step it up a bit. We got to improve our game. What worked 20 years ago, 30 years ago as being fun is not funny anymore. It's just not funny anymore. So much more could be done with this. So much more could have been done. I'm disappointed by it.
Streaking was popular 20, 30 years ago, and it was pretty funny on Saturday.
What happened?
At the Toronto Mariners game, a Canadian streaked the field.
Was that in Seattle?
Yes.
Okay.
Seattle Mariners. And this is where
Go ahead.
This is where it gets confusing.
All right.
Because you guys, Canada allows all to enter, pretty much, right? I mean, you're a welcoming society.
Yes, we are.
Well, this gentleman who streaked the field is an Irish citizen living in Vancouver, and now he faces deportation.
Now, is that deportation from the United States or deportation from Canada?
Deportation from Canada.
For being just a typical Irishman?
I don't know. I don't know what your problem with Irish people is up there.
I have no issue with Irishmen. They're fun to party with in Vancouver. In fact, at the Vancouver Moose, a sponsor of ours, I've partied with many Irishmen around there and always had a good time.
This guy seems like he likes a little bit of fun, loves to get out there and show his stuff.
I could see him getting banned from the U.S. for this.
I did not mean that the way it just came out.
No, but I mean, getting banned from the U.S., I could see. All right? For causing a disturbance and, public indecency. But getting banned from Canada, I mean, God, we have a lot more troubles with a lot of other people coming in and abusing this country than we do about some Irishman getting drunk at Safeco Field and streaking a ball game. But you know what? On the flip side, you go to a Canadian Football League game at BC Place in Vancouver, and there is always someone streaking. Now you're going to get me fired up because at what point, damn it, why did you do this?
Didn't we talk? Didn't this happen about a month ago? We were talking about the guy who was potentially going to sue the BC Lions.
Yeah, that went nowhere.
Being restrained. Yeah, well,
that went nowhere. But I mean, here's the thing, okay? If you are a streaker during a football game, nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. The only people who think it's funny is your buddies for about 10 minutes, if that, until you get tackled or hurt. And then they're like, I don't know this guy. Why the hell did you do that? How dumb can you be? But you think about it. You got 50,000 people at a stadium. Like when Toronto was down at Safeco, that ballpark is jammed packed. And nobody likes you. And you're getting arrested in the United States, where if you're from out of country, that's not good. Because you're going to have troubles crossing the border. It's just like the guy who starts the wave. I mean, you go to a sporting event, the wave is fun. You have to do the wave when it comes by, but you never want to be that drunk idiot who is actually trying to start the wave in your section. You never want to be that guy. Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who streaks. Nobody likes that.
I just don't understand when streaking. How much beer do you have to drink for streaking to become a good idea in your head?
There is not enough alcohol in this world that can make that a good idea. You know, there isn't.
It just seems like there are so many things that could go potentially wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are cleats out on that field.
I agree. And a lot of people who are in shape and are, pretty strong people.
And have you ever noticed? Have you ever noticed that the people who do streak tend not to be in shape?
Yeah, they have bodies like me, which is why I don't streak. That's why I don't even go to a beach.
Yeah, I cringe a little bit when I get out of the shower.
I know. I totally know. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, these streakers, like, get over it. It's not funny anymore. It was never funny. I hate to tell you. It was never funny.
Well, the streakers over in San Francisco, I don't know if you've heard this story, but they can pick up a vest in a vending machine at the airport.
Huh?
There is a vending machine in the San Francisco airport, and I'm curious to know if you had seen this. It sells fleece vests because they are such a popular accessory with the Silicon Valley types. And apparently when people fly in, they want to fit in with their coworkers or whatever at the Silicon Valley firms. So they have a vending machine at the airport that will sell you a fleece vest. And reportedly, this vending machine is making about $10,000 a month.
Oh, man. Why did I not see that?
And no, I don't know exactly how much each individual vest costs, but I don't know about you, but I rarely buy my fashion accessories at the airport.
I always wondered about that because I've never seen anybody shop at the airport. You see people mingling and they got all these high-end stores. All right. I've been to a few airports and I look around outside of Boston. That was a horrible airport. But nonetheless, Vancouver Airport, San Francisco, Las Vegas, they got all these high-end shops, like Michael Kors or Gucci or something along those lines. Who buys there? I never see people buy there.
I don't know. I guess if you're visiting the area and you're leaving, maybe. I've never once gotten off the airplane and thought, oh, I got to grab a shirt.
Neither have I. I don't get it. I really do not get it. I don't get it whatsoever. And I mean, if you're in the chat room right now, would you buy your clothes at the airport? Like, I can understand it, okay? Let's say you're on a long flight, okay, and your luggage gets lost, and you need to pick up a shirt or a suit or a pair of beige slacks just because, you lost, the airport lost your luggage and you need to go to a meeting and you need some fresh clothing. I get that. Right?
What's with you and beige slacks?
It's a Canadian thing.
And there are so many better words than slacks. Are we living in the 60s again?
Hey, come over and sit on my Chesterfield.
I prefer my Davenport.
Either way. I just don't understand it. I maybe it's duty free. I don't know. I really don't know.
With this story, the question I have is, if this is such a big fad or trend, when's the last time you've seen somebody wear a vest? And I don't mean like those fall puffy vests, jackets with no sleeves.
That's a good question.
I mean an actual, because I have 3 or 4 of them hanging up in my closet.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've come out since the late 90s.
You know what? I actually have an answer for that. I do. All right. You got to hear me out on this. I have a buddy of mine who is, he's one of these dudes who makes probably anywhere between $250,000 and $500,000 a year, if not more. All right, I think we all have that friend, and he loves the vest. The vest for a lot of people is a power move. A nice vest and tie. It's a power move. They don't even wear the suit jacket anymore. It's just all about the vest. And I think you have to be in a certain category of income. So, for instance, those of us who are making like $0 to like $150,000 a year, we don't qualify for vests. I don't even think, unless you're buying a 3-piece suit for a wedding or something like that they can even legally sell you one. That's the way I'm thinking. I think you have to be in that upper echelon of salary in order to be able to purchase a vest just to wear it, because it's like a power move.
I hate putting on suits. Unfortunately, I have to do it quite often, but I hate it. And the idea of just wrapping myself in another sweat generator is not appealing. I cannot see wearing one.
See, I could see Mr. Skeptic on Twitter. He seems like a vest guy. He seems like a total vest guy. Even the big puffy, like Michelin Man type vests for winter. I could see him doing that.
We need to get some vests to these elderly rockers.
Yeah.
With like some Judas Priest or Iron Maiden patches on the back, a nice either denim or leather.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's move on. We got about 5.5 minutes before we got to go to the thought of the day.
Do you play dominoes anymore? Have you ever?
I haven't played dominoes in years.
I can't figure this out, but over in Germany, they were attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the amount of domino tiles set up and knocked over. And I have never seen this apparent style of dominoes. They're called mini dominoes. And while they were setting up approximately 600,000 of these tiles, a fly landed on one of them and knocked the whole setup down. So in the middle of their build to break the Guinness Book of World Records, a fly destroyed their attempt.
A fly?
A fly.
How many dominoes fell over this?
Over 600,000.
Oh my gosh. Why didn't they stop it? You have the ability to stop it.
I don't know, but it took 20 people 2 weeks to set up all of these dominoes.
My goodness. I never thought about that, because I actually like watching these domino competitions, because the creativity that these people have.
Wait a minute. Let's take a step back here. Did you say domino competitions?
Well, you see these kids in school, maybe it's a chemistry class or the physics or just a group where they'll take up the entire gym and they'll use a bunch of creativity to create some incredible patterns with the dominoes. I think it's fantastic. I can see the fun in that.
Yeah, those are fun to watch, neat to see.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of or even seen these mini dominoes. Apparently they're about the size of a fingernail. And the idea of setting up 600,000 normal size dominoes seems challenging at best. The idea of setting up even smaller ones just seems crazy.
I hear you.
And then to have a fly knock it all down and destroy it. I mean, what happened if somebody opened a door too fast?
I have no idea. All I know is my anxiety would never allow me to be a part of one of those teams, because I just couldn't handle it. It would stress me out. Totally stress me out. But why didn't they just stop it? Did it happen overnight?
I'm not sure, but I would imagine that, somebody had to be, there had to be some witnesses, because to say a fly knocked it over, somebody had to see it. Now, maybe somebody's just blaming it on a fly, and somebody stood up too fast or knocked one over and is just kind of walking away, pretending they know nothing.
Mm-hmm. I hear
There's a mystery there.
By the way, Mr. Skeptic updating us. It's not vests that he likes. He says, any place that won't let me in wearing black jeans is a place I'm not going to. I bet you he has shiny white runners, too, like Nike runners or Reeboks.
Oh, with black jeans, you have to go with the wingtips or wingtips, and
Absolutely.
just little out of place.
3/4 tops, 3/4 top runners, because you don't just wear the. You know what? I'm gonna give a throwback here. I bet you, Mr. Skeptic at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, I bet you he still dons the old Stan Smith's tennis runners, tennis shoes. Remember those?
No.
Yeah. The old Stan Smiths. Google them. You'll recognize them to see them. They were like an Adidas type brand. Stan Smith.
Who?
Adidas? Adidas.
Okay. So would they kind of be along the line of those Chuck Connors or whatever they were that were so popular?
Yeah. Oh, now he's saying I don't do name brand clothes. You're making it difficult for us, Mr. Skeptic.
But does he wear a nice dress shoe, a nice wingtip with his black jeans?
I have no idea. He's being elusive right now. He's being elusive.
Because it takes a special guy to be able to pull off something like that.
I agree. I totally agree with you. I don't even know where this is going. Let's go to the thought of the day, shall we?
Led by Team Stump.
You got it. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter accounts, and then we wait for you to answer away. Because we love including you in the show, and your opinion does matter, so we love to play along with the Thought of the Dave. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. How do you keep in tune with your intuition? I'm thinking new strings. That's how I would stay in tune. New strings. But, I this gave so many different ways, and I got to be honest with you. I'm going to rip the people here who were giving the answers. There wasn't a lot of creativity in this one. I like creativity. I do.
Well, I think it's a kind of deep question. I mean, when I first read it, I struggled with it for a minute, and then I realized I didn't have to think I was married.
Exactly. So here we go with the Thought of the Day. Well, let's learn the Ever-Themers here. What do you do for your intuition?
I just let my wife tell me what I think.
All right. Mr. Skeptic says, no wingtips. You guys need to have more program material ready when things get slow. Just saying. Oh, no. And by the way, they were Chuck Taylors for Converse. Thank you, Marcus.
I'm not up on my shoes.
I know. But anytime we could throw in Mr. Skeptic on this show, I know he probably doesn't like it, but I love the dude. His snark is so perfect. Anytime we can actually, if you are a snarky person out there, you got to join us at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. Because Mr. Skeptic, he is the king of snark. He ranks.
His material is gold.
It is gold. He leads the way. He leads the charge every time. The only one I think who can snark a little bit better is John Tenney. No offense, Mr. Skeptic. But nonetheless, anytime we can get you included in this show, that is my goal, because it's out of admiration and respect for you. I know you probably don't like it, but I got the microphone. All right, Thought of the Day. Let's get to it. Leslie says, allow. How do you keep in tune with your intuition? One word. Allow. What does that mean? Explain to me what that means. I have no idea. Now, with Chris, I fully understand what he means. He put CBD. Medicinal air breathings, as Eugene Braxton called it. Donna, I listen, I watch, be aware of body signs. Brandy, I offer readings 50 hours a week, LOL. How could I not be in tune? I love Brandy. She's been a guest on this show.
Yeah, she has. You know, though, I would think that could potentially make her almost out of tune with her own intuition because she's paying attention to somebody else so often or, so much.
Mm-hmm. You know, I just had a power thought. I'm going to have
Did
to
it give you a headache?
No, it didn't. But I think when we revamp this Spaced Out Radio website, I think we should have like a hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, like a snark of the week.
Just one a week?
Well, I mean, there's got to be some game for it. I mean, that's a lot of time on the website. We don't have a full-time web person, right? But a snark of the week, and we'll dedicate it to Mr. Skeptic.
You know what? I think I'm going to start a hashtag, a team stump.
Sure. Watch how old that gets quick, right? Anyways, thought of the day. Alyssa says, I listen and I follow my intuition. Jade is all about listening, discernment, trust, and exercising it. How do you exercise your intuition? Do you do push-ups? Do you do curls? Jazzercise?
No, you know what? I think I can kind of relate to that and understand that.
I don't get it.
It makes a little bit of sense to me.
Not to this guy. Not to this guy whatsoever. Graham on Twitter says, laughing therapy is a joke. It sounds weak as a way for the past. My friends don't like it whatsoever, but it also helps to forget the bad times. Laughing works. All right, let's move on here. Let's see. More Graham. Daniel says, I had a feeling you would ask this today. Nice intuition, Daniel. Nice intuition. All right. Let's go over back to Facebook here. Jeanette, I'm not sure it's intuition as time passes. I'm starting to think it's actually downloading. Noel, rest and alone time helps me heal. Keith, Reverend Keith jumps in. This is a really good question. I believe there is an innate intuition that all humans possess. Some people have a greater ability and some pay more attention than others. Then there is the paranormal or supernatural brand of intuition. For me, keeping in tune with... Hold on, I missed it. Keeping in tune with this intuition rests in 3 propositions. Number 1, keeping the channel to my source free of any impedance. 2, make sure I am clear spiritual and mental to receive any signal from my source. 3, practice listening and acting on this paranormal, if feel divine, intuition. I think that's a good place to wrap up right there, Everett Themer.
I think it is.
It's always a lot of fun. Thanks for going an hour with me tonight, man. Appreciate that.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find The Encounter?
For right now, people can find The Encounter at Facebook. What is it? Facebook.com/SOR The Encounter Online.
I appreciate that. Team Stump rocks, my friend. Team Stump rocks.
We'll see.
Everett Themer is here every single night with The Encounter, and of course, we're only 3 nights away from Faux News Friday, which is always a good time on this show. Tomorrow night on the program, we delve deep into the weird, strange of the supernatural. Former MUFON scientist Chris Cogswell from the Mad Scientist podcast on Deep Talk Radio will be with us, along with the Den of Lore's Chris George Zuger, breaking down what is truthful and what is not in a segment that we call Reality Paranormal. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. I want to say a big thank you to Geraldine Orozco, who is in for the first 2 hours of the show. Geraldine comes on the first Tuesday of every month with the Spiritual You, where we get into everything Zen, Chi, and just feeling good about life and sometimes some aliens. She will be back next on Tuesday, September 4th, as we kick off the next month. There you go. You got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. A special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Appreciate you tuning us on in. Everybody on Spreaker, thanks for joining us. Some of you, come around a little bit more often. This is home for you. And everybody on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, thanks for the exceptional snark and Cardwells for tonight. And the Veterans Club, the SOR Space Travelers, great to have you participating. Thanks for sharing the show. Thanks for telling your friends and doing your part. Because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.